Today on the Pet Biz Project, my guest is renowned natural health and nutrition expert Narelle Cooke. Narelle is also the founder and owner of CanineCeuticals, a premium human quality supplement range for dogs. Narelle is a naturopath, nutritionist, a herbalist, and also the owner of the wellness clinic Natural Health and Nutrition. And she operates her own private practice in Sydney and has worked as a research scientist in one form or another over 20 years, with a primary focus on human health and nutrition. However, being a lifelong dog owner and meeting the current demands of 3 French bulldogs, a German shepherd, and a Burmese cat, she became as passionate about the health and well-being of our pets as she was about their owners. And it was this strong desire to see her own pets live their longest and best lives that led to hours of personal research and additional study in the area of natural animal health and nutrition. Aside from CanineCeuticals, Narelle also has a podcast show, Natural Health for People and Their Pets. And she has a regular guest feature on Pooches at Play TV and a guest contributor to Big Dog Pet Food's Education Hub. Today we talk about the importance of pet brands creating an ecosystem of education, value and support that goes well beyond just selling products. And we share the benefits this has on creating long-term customer loyalty in your business. So sit back and enjoy this chat with Narelle on how she's grown CanineCeuticals to be a leader in the Australian pet industry and also a leader in supporting the health and well-being of our pets. Thank you, Narelle, for joining us today. It's great to have you here on the Pet Biz Project. So I was wondering if you could just start by telling, for those that don't know about CanineCeuticals and who you are and things like that, could you just tell us a little bit about CanineCeuticals and what led you to come up with the idea in the first place?
Yeah, so there is a backstory, and thanks for having me on the show to talk about it all. So I've been a research scientist in some form or another for most of my working career, and then I went back to uni to get qualified to become a naturopath, nutritionist and herbalist for people. So I've been doing that for close to 10 years now. But as part of all of that, I've always been extremely interested in the evidence behind treatment approaches for health and really understanding how things are working in the body. And being a practitioner and having my own clinical practice, I've also had access to, high quality practitioner only supplements. And as well as being fascinated by how the body works, I've always been fascinated by how supplements work and the thought process behind them. For example, why did they use that ingredient, or why did they use that combination of ingredients? Why did they use those dosages? And how is all that working together synergistically, for the health condition that it's designed for? So sort of that's the position I'm coming from. And then back in early 2020, it was just as COVID was really hitting. One of my French bulldogs had a really severe spinal injury, and I found myself just using the human practitioner only supplements to support her recovery and her healing, because I literally didn't trust what was out there in the animal supplement space. And the reason for that is that the regulatory standards, whether it's animal food, animal supplements, the standards are quite low, and the ingredients can be quite inferior and not even, in some instances, suitable for human consumption, but they're allowed for animal consumption. So to me, that's crazy. If we've got an animal that's already compromised in its health, it makes no sense to me to put an inferior product into their body that's already struggling to be well. So it was really see a need, feel a need. I'm I have no concept of how to do this, but I'm sure I can figure it out. And that is literally how CanineCeuticals came to be, was just me being frustrated with the quality of what I was seeing in the dog space and just wanting to bring it up, to a higher standard, because I felt like if that was my frustration and if that was something that I needed but wasn't getting, surely that's the same for other pet owners.
Oh, definitely.
As well. So I wanted to, so even though I can access, human supplements and I know how to use human supplements for dogs, the majority of pet owners don't know how to do that. So having, a high quality dog supplement labeled for dogs and dosed for dogs, is obviously
Well, it
important.
just gives the pet parent more clarity around what to choose and how to use it, but also just that trust it builds, that they know that what you've created is specifically for the purpose of what they're using it for. It's not, because I do it myself, having a background myself with nutrition and naturopathy and things like that. I use a lot of human supplement brands and that for my dog, but it was fantastic to then discover yours and be able to know that that's formulated specifically for my girl and know that it's safe. So that's fantastic. And so you sharing the inspiration behind CanineCeuticals and the fact that you created it to give that confidence to pet parents. How do you think sharing your background and the reason why you created the business, how has that impacted how the business has grown and the audience and the customer base that you've developed so far?
Look, I think it's played a really important role in the success of the business. I mean, it's only one part of it, but I think sharing my story, it's helped because it highlights to pet owners that, I'm just like them. I share the same frustrations about trying to find like the right products for my dogs. I share the same fears when any of my dogs get sick about, what to do. So basically it's saying, look, I've been through what you're going through, and at times I'm still going through what you're going through, trying to help our dogs. And in terms of sort of, nurturing that trust factor, because I do have a really strong background in science and research and development, it's just really important to me that pet owners understand like what's in the product, what are the ingredients and how are those ingredients actually going to help their dog, because that way they can trust that the product's going to do what it says it's going to do, and it's not just like a heap of marketing hype and me trying to make a quick dollar. So education is really important to me. It's why I started my podcast, which is Natural Health for People and Pets. It's why I write blog articles for companies such as Big Dog Pet Foods. It's why I, do seminars around the impact of nutrition and supplementation on health and behavior for dogs. So there's a lot of ways that, pet owners can access that information. And I think that is important because it helps them to feel empowered about the choices that they're making for their dog. And, when you feel empowered, you feel good about what you're doing, you feel confident in the purchase. And I think for a business, that's huge.
Definitely. We can't avoid it. There is so much noise out there on the internet these days, isn't there? Everybody has an opinion on everything. And it's sometimes, like I find myself, you can be researching something to the nth degree to try and understand it to help your dog. But there are so many conflicting views out there, so many different opinions. And I know when, like say reading your blogs, it just gives you so much more comfort to know your background and your story and your experience and the education that you've gone through, to just know that, okay, well, if I listen to this opinion, I know it's coming from a responsible source that I can rely on. So I definitely think that's amazing. What's your long-term vision, I suppose? Like when you started this business, I know sometimes it's like just filling a gap in the market and you're like, okay, let's get into it. But over time, have you started to think about, well, what's the sort of long-term vision and long-term impact that you want to see CanineCeuticals have?
Well, definitely, improving the quality of life and the health of our dogs. But beyond that, again, and I've touched on it just before, education is huge for me. Like it frustrates me, and I think it's really sad that so many pet owners are just sort of emotionally manipulated into buying certain products for their dogs because the bigger companies are great at tapping into the fears of pet owners, and that fear that, oh, what if I'm not doing the right thing by my dog and this product is claiming to be the solution and I better do that, without understanding what they're buying and the quality of what they're buying. So it's such a bugbear and soapbox topic of mine. So I want to educate people to turn the bag over, like ignore the front of the bag and the marketing hype and the pretty pictures and the fancy words. Turn the bag over, like read the ingredients, turn the supplement bottle over, read the ingredients and know what you're doing. But then I recognize the next challenge from that is for a lot of pet owners, even if they do read the ingredient panel, will they understand how to interpret it? So will they even know if that ingredient is good or not good or suitable or not suitable for their dog? Are the doses therapeutic or token doses? So that's all part of education. And within CanineCeuticals, really want to bring that to the table to educate pet owners about what they're putting into their dog's bodies.
Yeah, because if you don't have that education, you don't know what's a filler and what's an actual active ingredient that's going to actually benefit your dog. Or growing up, I had a lot of like food allergies and things like that. So I've grown up reading the back of packets and understanding ingredients, and then I've sort of done that as well with our dog Ash, sort of always trying to understand what's in every packet. But again, there is so much conflicting information out there. Some of those filler products are quite often marketed as being a beneficial thing when they're not really. So, yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just touching on the education side of things, because I know you have this, well, I suppose in the marketing world, what we call like an asset ecosystem. You've got all this education going on, not just through your own website, but you get on other people's podcasts. You're doing, education through Big Dog Pet Food. You've got your naturopathic sort of business side of things as well. How easy have you found it, or how difficult have you found it to sort of get those education resources out there on multiple platforms?
I mean, firstly, it's challenging for me because it may not come across, but I'm an extreme introvert. So podcasts are quite anxiety-provoking for me. But I've been really lucky with the education side of things because a lot of the companies around me have reached out to me for input. So I feel really supported in the industry, and, the respect that comes with the knowledge and, I mean, just the effort that I put in to make sure that everything that I produce is evidence-based and that people can trust it.
Yeah. And is there anything in particular that you've done as a business owner to sort of identify and attract a particular type of person to your business, or is that been a conscious thing that you've done?
Look, I think not so much conscious. It's more about who I am and the way I do things and the way I see things, because as much as I try and, like, this applies to any company, like we can try and create, let's say, a supplement that's applicable across, all different dogs with different health statuses, but we know as natural healthcare practitioners, every dog is unique. Every dog is individual. Every dog has a lot of compounding factors around their situation that might mean the dose needs to be tweaked from what's on the label, or a combination of ingredients or products, needs to be used or not used. And that's where, as a business, I decided to offer the consultation service. And I think that's just hugely invaluable because it allows me to get a full health history of the dog. It allows me to talk to the owner. I can find out, all of the diet that it's consuming and how that might be impacting. I can find out about the environment the dog's living in. And yes, there's a cost to that, but rather than a pet owner just taking a chance buying a product that they think should help and then finding that it's not quite hitting the spot, and that may not be because there's anything wrong with the product per se, it's just potentially not the right product for that dog at that particular time. So when they go through the consultation process, we create a really comprehensive treatment plan that they can follow. And so that increases their chance of success in helping their dog hugely. And the feedback that I'm getting from people who have been through or going through the consultation process is just amazing. Like, I get so many photos of dogs and videos of dogs because pet owners just want to share and show me, like, look how the quality of life of my dog has improved so significantly based on your treatment plan, and like that really targeted approach. And I think it also highlights that, I do care about their dog. I do care about their dog's quality of life. I'm not just going to say, buy this product and forget about them. I follow up with them regularly if they do a consult because, things often do need to be tweaked for the best outcomes, and just really supportive. Like, I just want to be that support person because there's nothing worse. Like you said earlier, like the internet has so many different opinions and there's so much conflicting information that I am happy to be that pet owner support person. And if they do read something and they're like, oh, now I'm confused, I don't know what to do, they know they can just sort of contact me and we can talk it through.
Yeah, that's great. I think it was last year that we did a big research project, and I think one of the key things that pet parents told us that they're looking for in the products they purchase was quality, like the high quality, like you've got high quality ingredients, no fillers, all those kinds of things. But the second thing that they really wanted was personalized products. They don't want just one thing for every dog. They want to know that whatever they're purchasing is specifically unique and appropriate for their pets. So I think, that whole consultation aspect of things, you're just taking what works so well for humans. We're all different. We all know we're different. And we're realizing that is the same for our dogs, and we need that personalized, unique approach for each of them. So, and their needs. So that's great. And it's great that those consultations are so popular, because sometimes you have that concern that are people actually going to use it? Are they going to reach out for help? But it's great that they do lean in and trust that. So
they do, yeah. Very busy.
Yeah, I bet. Not enough hours in the day, are there, as a business owner? So particularly since COVID and, the boom that we all saw in the pet industry, there was so many startups occurring, so many new businesses, which was great to see, mums and dads and just people that were maybe had careers in other areas were starting up their own business, especially in that e-commerce space. As a business owner yourself, and your business is only, a bit over a year, nearly 18 months old now, is it?
Oh, about 16 months.
Yeah, so relatively,
so
it's fairly new in the pet space. So how would you sort of advise other small business owners that are maybe just in that first year or two? How do you think the best advice that you could give that to stand out in a crowd and sort of be seen and be heard with all that noise that is occurring out there?
Yeah, look, it's tricky. And I think I've just been really fortunate in my situation, because I think the biggest influence in the rapid sort of success of my brand was that, like, people already knowing me and knowing my background in the health industry and trusting that I am an authority on health and nutrition for both people and pets. So that was already out there quite, well,
yeah.
like that. And then luckily for me, my husband is also a trusted authority in the dog training space. So he's got his own identity there. And I guess where we've been fortunate, one, like I said, I was already a pre-existing trusted authority on health, but then we've both got our own podcast. As I said, mine's Natural Health for People and Pets. My husband's is the Canine Paradigm. So that has allowed us to reach, such a wider audience. And I think more importantly, it's allowed us to maintain that position of being a trusted authority in what we're doing. So yeah, I think it would be hard. Like, I don't think CanineCeuticals would be where it is today if I didn't have that side of the business, like the podcast and the background.
Yeah, it's one of the things that unfortunately we sort of encourage a lot of businesses to do, but it's the amount of people that are reluctant to put their face to their business and actually stand out and be seen as part of the business rather than hiding behind a product or service. You've taken it to that length that you're on. So, you're even on like Pooches at Play and things like that. It's, you have so much exposure, but it's because you put yourself out there and you allow yourself, as much as you say you're an introvert and you get nervous and things on podcasts, which, to tell you, to be honest, everybody does. So I haven't met anybody yet that doesn't. But I think it's just, even though you have that, anxiety or discomfort or something around it, you still push through and you put yourself out there and you stand for your brand, stand for your product, and be that face of the education. That, instills so much trust in customers and the people that are going to stay loyal to your brand. So I think, that's one of the things, it's one of the key things that I would always say is going to give a brand success, because if somebody's not going to stand behind their brand and be seen and be heard and stand for it, then why should the customers stand for it, and take a loyalty approach to it. So when we're speaking to pet brands that have been in business for sort of 1 to 2 years, they're constantly beating themselves up that they're going through these regular challenges with their business. And we try and say, well, challenges never go away. Your business is always evolving and you're going to always have challenges. Can you share with us some of the challenges you've experienced since starting CanineCeuticals and how you've overcome them?
Yes, so challenges are real. So with CanineCeuticals, like I never wanted to like go hard and fast with the business in terms of growth. Firstly, because this is 100% new to me. I've never been in the supplement manufacturing side of things. I had literally no idea what to do or how to do it. And the challenge with that is those people who are already doing it and know how to do it are technically my competitors. So you can't sort of just call them up and say, hey, you know, I want to do this too. Can you tell me how you did it?
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people in the industry who have been really generous, you know, along the way, who technically are competitors to my business. But so I've always been really conscious of not overcapitalizing in case something went wrong.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wouldn't want to do like a 10,000 label print run and then realize because of my lack of understanding and experience that I left something off the label that needed to be on the label. So doing like thousands of, like a manufacturing one of thousands of product and then like off the bat and then realizing, oh, that formula isn't quite doing what I want it to do, but I've got all this cash tied up, you know, sitting on the shelf now. So probably the biggest challenge for me is I do love new product development. Like I love researching the ingredients and the formulations, and I've got like this massive wish list of products that I would love to bring to market.
Yeah.
So the greatest frustration in that regard is cash flow and learning how to manage cash flow. So earlier this year, I brought on a business coach, and he has been my voice of reason, even though I don't always like to hear what he has to say.
That's the best business coach usually.
Yeah, he's been really valuable in helping me to understand cash flow, just to, you know, how to understand where the business is now, how to better articulate the direction I want the business to go in. Like I didn't even have a business plan in place. So, you know, he's helped me to create that. But yeah, I think that cash flow can quickly kill a small business if you do, you know, overcapitalize. And, you know, I probably would have developed all those products that are on my wish list and had a lot of money on the shelf, but nothing in my bank account, and then, you know, potentially collapsed.
Yeah. I agree. It's the number one concern for business owners is cash flow. It's one of those challenges that I think once you start to understand your financials, you know, if you're new to running your own business, quite often a business owner will run their business off whatever's in the bank account sort of thing. It's like, well, if I've got money there, then I must be doing okay. And then all of a sudden it needs to go on something unexpected and it's gone. But I think when you transition to really understanding your financials and being able to manage your business off, you know, the cash flow forecast and the balance sheet and your profit and loss statement and things like that, rather than just your bank account, that's when it all starts to change. But it's difficult. I think no matter how good you get at running a business, cash flow is always one of the key concerns that you've got to stay on top of. So
yes.
Yeah, difficult. I can't wait to see all those new products come, though. Looking forward to that.
Me too. Yeah.
So here at the Pet Biz Project, we're all about building meaningful relationships with pet parents and, you know, sharing ideas and inspiration and ways businesses are going about doing that. So can you share with us, I suppose, what building meaningful relationships with pet parents means for you, but also how you've managed to do that best within your business and how you plan to do that going forward?
Okay, so for me, you know, building meaningful relationships means really listening to what a pet owner's needs are for their pet, and often for them as well, because pets can bring up a lot of emotions, especially when there's like a health condition involved. And, you know, I get that. So firstly, really, really listening to what they're telling you about their pet and then just responding, you know, appropriately to that. And as I said earlier, like just being their support person that they feel that they can trust and that they can turn to when everything else is so confusing. And what I find really interesting in terms of like building and nurturing meaningful relationships with pet owners, and I've seen this for years in my clinical practice with humans, and I'm seeing it with dogs through CanineCeuticals, is that I don't always have to have the answer. And that's really hard for me to say, but it's true. You know, there's lots of times where I just haven't known what to do for a dog. But in those instances, what I find is most important to the pet owner is that they know that there's someone on their side who, one, is hearing their concerns, and two, who's willing to try. Like, they just want someone to try their best for the sake of their pet. And I had a great example only last week. So one of our customers, he reached out to CanineCeuticals. He had quite an elderly dog that had a cancer diagnosis, and the vet said, look, there's literally nothing else that we can do. Your dog's likely only got days left to live. And this gentleman, he reached out to us, and we don't give false hope. Like, there is no way I'm going to tell someone, in that situation, like, that's a pretty severe situation. But he wanted a consultation. We said, okay, we'll put together a treatment plan, but do understand, the reality of the situation. He did. He got it. But he wanted to try. He wasn't ready to give up, and his vet had given up. He just wasn't ready to do that. So he just really appreciated that we were willing to try and willing to support him. But he left the most amazing Google review last week saying, it's been 6 weeks now, so the dog's still alive. It's 6 weeks down the track, and he just couldn't be more grateful that he got. I mean, I don't know how long the dog's going to be around for. That sounds horrible, but he's just so happy and so grateful to have that extra 6 weeks and quality 6 weeks. The dog isn't suffering. So I just find that really, really, really important in terms of relationship building, that I can say to an owner, look, I can't really help you, but I can do the best I can given the situation. And, that's people just feel heard and supported in those situations.
But, and it helps, obviously helps him to feel empowered that, you do have some control yourself. You do have some, you've got options. You don't have to just take somebody else's word for the fact that, this is the end. And to be honest, I know I've got a 13-year-old Labrador, and she's, starting to have, signs of health problems and things like that as she gets older. But you just every day counts. That, then they're not going to be there forever. We are so attached to our animals, but just having a few extra weeks or something means the world to a pet parent. So, so those, I think also you sharing that story and sharing that example, and him also leaving that review for you, it gives others hope. And that's the biggest thing out there is, feeling like there are other solutions that you can maybe explore and look at. Because it is, that's fantastic that you've been able to help them. And just for him to feel like he's being supported and having somebody to talk to about it. Fantastic. So tell me, what's next for you and for CanineCeuticals? What have you got planned?
Well, despite my business coach trying to stop me from new product development, we do have a new product coming out in the next month, and it's so we've got the organic freeze-dried organ range, but they're all individual products. So we're bringing out a blend that includes beef liver, beef kidney, and beef spleen. So that's going to make it so much easier for those pet owners that do like to make their own meals, whether it's raw or cooked at home. So no mess, no fuss, no trying to butcher hop trying to find beef spleen, for example, for something different.
So I've been down that road, so I know how difficult it is.
So that's in terms of new product. So look out for the organic organ blend. And it's going to be a really busy second half of the year. So we've got some huge events coming up that CanineCeuticals is going to be part of. We're going to be at the Sydney Dog Lovers Festival, which is in August. That's the 26th to 27th of August. Then we'll be at the Melbourne Dog Lovers Festival, which is from the 13th to the 15th of October. And then that is going to be quickly followed by the Vet Expo, which is also in Melbourne this year, and that's on the 18th and the 19th of October.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is the best thing about those live events is that you can face-to-face connect with so many of, you can make those new connections, but you can also, it's such a great opportunity, I think, for pet brands to meet their customers face-to-face. When you're running an e-commerce business, it's a really good way to just get out there and see people. Yeah,
I love those events for exactly that reason. I get to meet existing customers and get their feedback, and then I get to meet new people and, share the love of CanineCeuticals.
Fantastic. So you've done Dog Lovers and Vet Expo before, haven't you?
Yeah, so last year the Sydney Dog Lovers show was my very first event. And oh my goodness, it was so, I found it really stressful not knowing, like never having done one, and then sort of just not knowing the process, and then having to get all the gear that goes in your space, like the stand, all the walls and the tables and the design that go along with it. It was more than I thought, like work-wise, like stress-wise, and trying to figure things out. But now that it's done, like I'm really looking forward to this year's events, because that stress doesn't exist anymore. You know, I've got all my equipment, got my wave wall, you know, got all of my pull-up banner, everything like that. So I don't have to worry about that side of it. I can just, and I know the process now, and I think that's important for businesses. I mean, it's a learning process, but definitely really important. Yeah.
And I think it depends on the size of the business as well as to what you can physically achieve at these events. I think quite often when I speak to pet businesses, it takes a few years of doing these events before they can get, you know, okay, I know I'm going to invest this much in doing Dog Lovers Festival, and I know I'm going to get this return from it. I quite often find the first couple of years businesses are very much, it's just trial and error. It's just getting in there and seeing what works with the audience and knowing how to. I mean, I suppose one of the things I regularly see is that people go to the Dog Lovers Festival for samples. They love, you know, freebies. They're there to walk around with their bag and collect as much as they can for their dogs while they're there. But it just gives them also that brand exposure to discover new brands that they maybe haven't stumbled across yet or haven't seen. So it'll be a great opportunity.
Yeah, and I just want to say, so last year, because last year was my first year of business, I was hesitant to do the Dog Lovers Show and the Vet Expo last year because it was a huge expense for me, for the business at the point it was at. But I just found the expense worth it. So I'm glad I did it in my first year of business, even though I didn't know what I was doing, and, you know, it was a big deal cash-wise for me. But yeah, definitely worth getting out there and getting exposure.
Yeah. And some brands do have huge sales at the events as well as, you know, people going around for the freebies. It's like there is a great opportunity there to do a good amount of sales in that short period. So it's exciting to see. It's I love these live events, and Vet Expo is becoming bigger and bigger all the time, and there's some great pet brands going to be at Vet Expo again this year, which will be good.
Yeah, so the Vet Expo is obviously quite different, different vibe, different crowd. But really great for, again, building meaningful relationships, but just with, you know, industry professionals as opposed to pet parents.
Yeah. And they're sort of, I suppose, acting as the intermediary almost for you, as like the referral partner, because, you know, you build those great relationships with them. They then pass that trust on when they recommend your products to their customers or their clients. It's then that passing that trust along. So it's a great opportunity. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're such a busy person, but can you tell us what's the best way for people to reach you if they want to connect, whether it be for their pets or connect with you in terms of business opportunities?
The absolute best way to get in touch is via email, so info@CanineCeuticals.com.au. There's also a contact form on the website that people can just fill out if that's easier. Definitely like our social media pages, so Facebook and Instagram, it's canine.ceuticals. So, yeah, they're the best. Email's always the best way to get a fast response. If you message me on social media, there's usually a bit of a delay for me to get to that, but info@CanineCeuticals.com.au, you'll get a pretty quick response.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you sharing so much about CanineCeuticals, and we can't wait to see. I'm really looking forward to the organ blend coming out, because it's one of those products that I never know which one to choose, because they're all the organs have so much benefits to them. So it's going to be great to be able to just buy the combined product. So it's a fantastic idea. Thank you, Narelle, for your time. So there you have it, some great tips from Narelle Cooke, owner and founder of CanineCeuticals, on the power of supplemental care to support our pets' health and well-being, plus some great insights into this amazingly caring lady so passionate about canine healthcare. Make sure you reach out to Narelle using the links in the show notes, and if you have any questions or would like to connect with her. One aspect of this episode I really would love for you to go away and think about in your own business is how you can increase engagement with your brand, but also more importantly, long-term loyalty by being a recognized resource of solutions to the problems pet parents face. Acknowledging that your business has a greater service to your community other than just selling products is by far the aspect I see causing the greatest consistent growth for pet brands. If you head over to our website at petbizcreatives.com, you'll find an article we share on the 4 types of value you can offer to pet parents to build long-lasting relationships. We'll also include that link for you here in the show notes. So make sure you subscribe to the Pet Biz Project so that you're notified whenever we drop a new episode. And thanks so much for listening.